They tried to destroy this technology, but thankfully they didn't, and we got one. Do you consider yourself to be an open-minded person, or a more skeptical person, or somebody who's a combination of both? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear, because I personally think that I'm a combination of the two. What about you?
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical of new things.
But as we have been striving to live a more homegrown, more self-reliant lifestyle, we're trying to insource more and outsource less. And this started with growing our own food here on the farmstead. We started with growing much of our own vegetables in our garden spaces, as well as eggs, and producing milk and meat. And we're continuing to look for other ways that we can become more self-reliant, including with our own health and wellness and being able to treat ourselves, because ultimately it's our responsibility to take care of these temples that God has given us.
And we're the ones that have our best interest at heart. Our medical establishment is great for emergency medicine. Emergency, yes, go to the hospital. But for chronic illness, our healthcare system does not have a good track record for making us healthier.
Yep, and almost 5 years ago, I had to have emergency gallbladder surgery. And emergency medicine was great for that situation. However, learning the things that I have learned over the past couple years probably could have saved me from having to have that surgery. And I just wish that some of these things were more mainstream.
So we're learning everything we can to improve not just our health, but the health of our whole family here at home.
All the way back to my days as a bodybuilder, over these years we've tried so many different things, different workout plans, different diets, different therapies, you named it. We've tried so many different things, and if we didn't try it, we at least have heard about it. This is just some of the stuff we got. We got foam rollers, these rollers, medicine balls, sleep pads, one of these massagers, another massager, exercise bands, other stuff. Yeah, we got a lot of different therapy things. Yep. You were a massage therapist, and I got massages on a regular basis as part of my regimen as a bodybuilder, and massages very, very beneficial for a number of things.
And as a massage therapist, I learned about all kinds of alternative therapies.
And we've done chiropractic care, we've done acupuncture, we've done homeopathy, we've done herbs, we've done tinctures, supplementation.
We've kind of done a little bit of everything.
Yeah, again, you name it, we've probably done it or at least heard about it. And I think the biggest takeaway that we have from all these years of trying different things is that yes, there's a lot of these natural treatments and therapies that do work and work effectively. However, there's not one cure-all that will just take care of every single thing that you may deal with, because God's the only one that's a cure-all. But there are things that we can do to either negatively affect their health and wellness, and there's also some things that we can do on our own to improve it as well. For example, say I go outside and I get cut working outside. There's things that I can do to make it worse, like I could rub, I don't know, chemicals or dirt or whatever in that wound and just leave it alone and not tend to it. That would definitely make it worse. But there's also some things that I can do to make it better. Making sure I wash it out of anything that may be on it and take care of it and make sure nothing gets into it, or use something like bentonite clay to rub on there to help with healing. So there are things that we can do to both negatively affect our health as well as positively affect it.
And I've definitely learned over the years that not everybody responds to all treatments the same. You know, somebody may respond to one treatment like really well, and then another person uses that same treatment and they don't see as many benefits because we're all so different. And that's why it's so important to keep an open mind with different types of treatment. Now, at some point through our journey in learning about different modalities, I learned about Rife technology, but it wasn't until recently that I read a book on the inventor of the Rife technology, and his name is Royal Raymond Rife. And he was actually an inventor in the early 1900s. And his whole passion was he wanted to find a cure for the big C, if you know what I'm talking about.
The word we can't say on here.
Well, he actually invented and would build these microscopes that could magnify like beyond anything else that they had during that time. And he would sit and look through his microscope at these cells, and he would apply different frequencies to these cells. And he would notice at what frequency the cells would die and rupture. So he knew that when he had a certain frequency, it would cause those cells to die. So he took this and applied it to people that had those certain types of cells and applied those frequencies, and it killed those cells in those people, and it took away their illness.
It's also interesting that our bodies, the different organs and things that we have in our bodies, all of them operate at certain frequencies as well.
For optimal health, yeah. It's really, really interesting.
And it's pretty crazy that this technology has been around as long as it has, like what, since like the 30s?
Yeah, the 30s.
Yeah, and most people have not heard about it, and we hadn't heard about it until here recently.
And yeah, it's really interesting. To make a long story short, he really wanted to bring this technology to as many people as he could. So he partnered with these guys and to build these machines for doctors to use on their patients. One guy got really greedy because he wanted to use Rife technology in a certain way, and Royal would not allow it. He wanted it to be available to the people. So this guy sues him, tries to discredit everything that he's ever done. Mysteriously, his lab gets destroyed, his microscope gets destroyed, and a lot of this technology gets suppressed. And all because Royal Raymond Rife wanted to find an answer to a problem that was plaguing a lot of people.
Basically wanted to help people and make it an affordable resource for people to be able to heal from, but he didn't want to sell out.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. And that reminds me of an interview that we just recently did with John White, the owner of Spooky2, who is trying to do the same thing, following the vision that Royal Raymond Rife had with Rife technology. John White is a Rife researcher and inventor from New Zealand, right? And you live in China now?
That's right. That's right.
All right. And you have a background in electrical engineering, physics, computer science. But one of the things that I read about you that I really liked is that you believe that sickness should not be a business and restoration of health should be a primary objective. And I'd really like hearing about that. Your vision is to provide people with knowledge and equipment so that way they can take control over their own health. Is that right?
Absolutely. And no one, if you've got sick members of the family and you've got nothing to do to help them, I mean, it's terrible, isn't it? From a very young age, actually, when I had members of the family pass away, I made a promise to myself, I'm going to provide solutions for other people so that they can help their own families and not get in the same situation where I was just absolutely helpless. I was only around 17 years old at the time. But still, I made the promise and I've kept that promise. And everything that we do now is aligned with that. We're wanting to provide solutions, not just that work, but that people can afford. And so that's the focus. That's what we do. That's what we do.
I really like that. And what would you say to the people who would say that Rife machines, frequency, and all those types of different therapies are woo woo or quackery?
Well, there's nothing to lose to try. Now, when you consider that since the 1920s, when this alleged quackery type of healing has been pushed away, 1920, that's 3 generations of people, at least, that have been taught at school that when you're sick, you go to the doctor, you get your medication, and then you get better, presumably, or the condition's controlled. But before then, there were people that were leading the edge of known science at that time and making really amazing discoveries. Now, the person that most people would probably know about is Royal Rife, and the Rife machines use his name. He, in the late 1920s, early 1930s, found the cure for. This is 1931. They had a trial, and from 16 patients, all of them, and they're terminal patients, they were all free after his treatments of frequencies. And so, of course, when a sane person, which I assume I am, and you too, hear things like this, you think, well, hang on a moment, something doesn't quite click together, because way back in 1930, which is 90 years ago, they could do it, and we can't do it now. And now we have these red sock days or red nose days or whatever they want to do to raise money for research. But 90 years ago, they had it. And so I was asking these questions and thinking, well, there are still things out there, but they're unaffordable. People are making devices, but their heart isn't aligned to where their products are going. Human nature is to have happiness. Everyone wants happiness, and people associate happiness with being wealthy, having money so you can buy things and do things, go places. And it doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on, whether you're in the allopathic, which is the regular doctor method, or you're in the natural health. Natural health are just, in my mind, the same as the drug companies, even though they're pointing fingers at each other, because the prices of the supplements are just crazy. Now, I live in China, and China is where a lot of the products are made. And I buy supplements direct from the factory. And the prices are much cheaper, crazy cheap compared to other countries, where after it's gone through all the middlemen. And so someone's making the money. And so if they're serious about health, they make it so that they've got, a minimal of profit, enough to survive, and then pass it on to the people. But that's not happening. And so when I first produced my products, the Spooky2 products, the other people that were making products which were similar to what I was making, they were selling like 5, 10 times my price. And well, what was that? That was about 15 years ago. Things haven't changed at all since then. Still, our products are cheap, but it does not mean that we have compromised in any way, shape, or form on quality. It's still the same, if not better. And the devices that we make, they really do work, and they are opening a lot of people's eyes. And actually, Mike and Lacey, we've made a lot of friends along our way, because people have come to wit's end. They've been told to quietly go home and die. There's nothing they can do, and they can only manage diseases. And then their pockets are empty. They've gone through the system. Only then they discover us. And then they try it, and they can afford it, and then they get this product, and they buy one generator, which is a frequency device, and then, wow, it works. I'm going to buy another one, and you can daisy chain them up. And this is the way that things should be. Things should be like this, where there should be the focus on the people. It doesn't. True happiness, yeah, you've got to have enough money to feed yourself and provide for your family. But beyond that, what is the use? What is the use of having excessive money, excessive profits? And the profits that we do make, we throw most of that to charities anyway. But I tell you what, we have grown a lot because more and more people are recognizing that, well, there's at least one company on our side. So that's us as our company, our mindset. It's absolutely not on the money side. It's thinking, well, what can we do for the people? What can we do for everyone, humanity, and for animals?
And the first thing you need for this system is a computer, and it has to be a Microsoft-based computer. This is a Spooky2 XM generator, and it comes with a power cord that you plug up right there, and a USB cord so you can hook it up to your computer. Hook it up to your power source, and then to your computer. And you turn it on right like that. And next, we open up our Spooky2 software. And I think it's really awesome that you can go to their website and download all their software for free. You can put it on your computer. You can learn how to use it. There is a little bit of a learning curve, but it's totally free. And there's several different ways that you can use these machines, and one is like a TENS machine. And if you only use it like a TENS machine, it's totally worth it. I was having pain in my shoulder, and so I hooked up the TENS unit, found a program for shoulder pain, and within a few times of using it, my shoulder pain was gone. And this one goes in output 1, and you hook it up just like that. TENS pads. One on the red and one on the black. Do you have anything that you need worked on?
Doing what I do is like I almost always have something that is knick-knacked and banged up and bruised up a little bit. But yeah, definitely have something on my elbow. I'd love to put it on. Now, I've actually had the chance to use this a number of times as well. And one of the things that it really helped me on, surprisingly, we did a setting for anxiety and adrenal fatigue and things like that, and it helped out tremendously.
Okay, since your arm hurts, let's look in the database and find a program for your little elbow. Okay, we do empty shell, and we're using contact mode, so we have contact, and then let's look in programs, and let's look at elbow pain. And see what we get. And see, here's different programs. There's elbow pain 1 and a different elbow pain. So let's do this one. I'm gonna put one above the elbow, and then I'm gonna put one below the elbow.
Why are you doing that?
Because you're gonna get it as close to where the area that you want worked, but you want it to go through that area, so it's going to go from one pad to another.
So you don't put it on the area that hurts.
You want it to be close to it, but probably a little further away.
Okay.
Okay, and now I come over here and hit start, and it loads the frequencies onto the generator. And when they start, it'll click on, just like that.
All right. So right now I feel just a little bit of tingling. It's like waves of it. Other times I've used it for other things, and sometimes it's definitely a stronger TENS unit feeling, but I think it varies from issue to issue that we're working on.
Yeah, it's going to vary from program to program. Like the frequency, the amplitude, all these different things are going to be different in how you feel it. Now, I will say if it hurts too much, then you can change the amplitude and bring it down so you still having the same frequency, but it doesn't like hit as hard. So how's it feeling now?
Definitely feels somewhat better. I think with a couple more sessions we should be good to go. I actually think I heard it when I was sleeping one night a couple nights ago. I had my arm off the bed, leaning off the bed for whatever reason, I don't know, and then I just think I hyperextended it a little bit. So yeah, that's what happened.
Well, and with contact mode, you only want to use contact mode twice a day max. So just keep that in mind. But there is another way to use contact mode. This kit comes with, they're called hand cylinders. Now these things right here. So you just take the leads that you use for the pads and plug them in there. And then, so you would just hold them instead of it having TENS pads. Another really important aspect about these generators is that you can run a biofeedback scan on yourself. And so what that does is you use your Spooky Pulse, which is another attachment to this, and your TENS pads, and you're hooked up to the computer and you're running this program, and what it does is it sends these frequencies through your body, and it kind of like pings the frequencies that your body needs just for you. And then at the end, you save this scan, and it's almost like I don't want to say prescription, but it's just for you. It's a scan that's just for you that you run back on yourself that will help, correct any frequencies that are out of line, I guess we could say.
So basically it provides you with a custom personalized protocols for you to run to improve the issues that you may be having in your body.
Yeah, and it knows the exact ones that you need. And then this way to use it is probably the most controversial.
Earlier she said she's not the skeptical one, but what I have noticed is that it tends to be the men who are the most skeptical about health things. I think it's just God's design for women and mothers. You all tend to be more of the nourishers, the nurturers, the soothers, and we tend to be the hard-headed ones that are usually more resistant to some of the things, especially in regards to health. And she's usually the one that introduces me to a lot of the things that we try out. I do some of it, and I'm get out there on some things, but you're usually the first one on a lot of things.
And I am skeptical about things, but I think I'm more open to trying things than you are in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely in the beginning. And this area right here is the part of using the machine that I was the most skeptical about.
So this part right here is called the Spooky Remote, and this is I just have an extra one. It's like right here. So this sounds crazy. I know it's crazy. It sounds crazy. But what you do is you take a piece of your fingernail. So you just clip your fingernail and you put it in between two little stickers, and you put it in the remote, and then you pick your programs from the software and run it on remote mode, and your little fingernail actually affects your whole body. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds nuts. And I thought it was too, until I started feeling the reactions from it.
Just because I tend to be the more primitive caveman type of thinking, it's like, if it's not touching me and it's not physical, I don't understand how it works. For the caveman like me, can you explain it in somewhat of a more primitive, how do you go through the process of using it remotely, and then somewhat how does it even work?
Well, it's quantum entanglement. That's the word, which is being bandied about now. They're making computers that are based on quantum entanglement. So quantum entanglement is a real thing. But what is it? It's when two molecules are linked together. Their information is linked together. If you have a molecule that divides, as cells do, and you take one of the cells and you take it somewhere else, if you do something to one cell, the other cell will feel it, and vice versa. It's kind of like twins, where a twin, especially an identical twin, can feel when their sibling, when their brother or sister is, even their thoughts, if they're missing them or if they've been hurt or things, it mirrors on the other one. Well, quantum entanglement is this, and what our remote does is take a DNA sample of your body. Usually it's a fingernail, because it hurts less than blood. And you put this in the remote and you apply treatment to your DNA. And the DNA in your body, it can be anything from kite surfing to feeding turtles, feeding dogs, or doing anything, building, that's also receiving those healing frequencies. But the thing is, you don't have to carry a machine with you. The machine is based at home. You've set the treatments up and you walk away from it. And you can set schedules up so it starts at a certain time. If you've got difficulty sleeping, you can start sleep programs, arrange for them to start up at 8 o'clock at night. So by the time 9 o'clock comes in, you're wanting to do the face plant on the pillow. There's programs for everything and everything, and you can treat yourself so conveniently through this method of remote. More than that, it's hard to get, for example, a goose to hold on to hand cylinders or have TENS pads attached to them. But if you can get a bit of their claw, or one person who was treating their racing pigeons used to use the feathers, which is easier to get and less painful if they don't like it, and treat them. Then you can treat your animals, and your animals become healthier. So many people use this for their animals because animals are family as well. Don't draw the line on Homo sapiens. So that dogs and horses and cats and feathered friends, they all get treated by our devices.
So for the people who are just brand new to just the whole concept of a Rife machine, what are some of the benefits that you would say that people could experience in using one of these?
You mean apart from taking control of your own life, apart from feeling better, apart from not having to empty your pocket every month when you go and visit the guy in the white coat, and the ability to try different things without having to ask someone who then shakes their head and says no. Well, apart from all those things, you'll notice if you run a program on yourself quite often, in the very beginning, you feel very lousy because you've got, 40, 50, 60 years worth of garbage in your body that needs to be taken out. Your body's probably forgotten what it's like to be toxin free or to be low in toxins in the very least. So you've got to get the garbage out, and so it's got to go through all your waste disposal systems in your body. So at the very beginning, you may feel a little bit lousy, but it's a bit like exercising, where in the very beginning you get sore muscles and and this can't be good because I'm achy all over. But after a while, you raise your overall wellness, and so all of a sudden you're feeling like a super person. It's kind of like that, where at the beginning you feel a little bit lousy and out, down and out, but after a while you think, wow, I'm actually energized. This is me. This is the new me. And you don't
And
have to tell anyone. You don't have to tell anyone what you're doing, what programs you're running, because it's you. It's your own. It's your own business.
Yeah. And for me, when I'm open-minded but skeptical, but once I started using this, I'm like, all right, let's see if it actually works. And then I'm going through what you're just describing right there. I was having body aches and my back was hurting. I had a headache. I had like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fever, but I had no congestion and my throat wasn't hurting. I wasn't coughing. And at first I didn't know what was happening. I was like, man, I'm getting sick. And then I just decided, well, maybe we'll change the program on here to fight these symptoms that I'm dealing with. But I'm like, all right, hold on. I noticed this like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, I'm having a Herx reaction. It's actually
Mm,
working. Wow,
yes,
this
yes,
it's I don't know how I can't explain it. I have no idea how this works. It's beyond my
yeah.
primitive mindset.
Well, after a while, you feel much better, much better. And if you do have health issues, those issues can subside and then finally disappear. That's what we're aiming for.
In addition to having the Hertz reactions, I was also experiencing some of the benefits. Let's see, I was working on just male stuff. It was helping me out with that. I mentioned before on the contact pads, I was working on adrenal fatigue, as well as a number of other things. And it was like, I feel like I'm getting better. So I've experienced 2 things from this that I just can't explain, but I do understand that frequencies work. Even music has frequencies to it, and even when we're putting Hezekiah down to sleep, we like you listening to the pan drums that have frequencies that seem to help him sleep better. So, and one of those things is like when you start to feel better and not have the symptoms anymore, it's almost like you forget what you were dealing with.
Right. And I'm looking forward to see what all I can do with the Spooky2 system, because over the past few years I've been dealing with some, symptoms that I haven't necessarily told everybody about, but one of them is definitely weight gain, which I can't really hide that one, that I would like to resolve and see and figure out like what all is causing all of this.
And sadly, it's not an uncommon thing in our world for men and women to start having hormonal changes and weight changes in their 40s and even 50s. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to address them, and there aren't things that can help us out.
I see the Spooky2 Rife machines being an invaluable tool for every single family, and it's really affordable too, comparative to the other Rife machines. I've seen them for $5,000 and $10,000, which that's definitely not in our budget, but I was able to get a kit with 2 generators, one for Mike, one for me, or we can use it on different people or even the animals too. That's a whole other topic, but for a fraction of the price of those other machines.
And even though I was skeptical about using the remote setting, their effectiveness, along with not being tied down somewhere with the contact pad or holding on to the cylinders, being able to use a remote setting wherever I am in the house or out on the farmstead, that makes a world of difference, because it is kind of hard for me to sit down. But to be able to go about my life and still have the remote setting, which even though it still blows my mind, still working on me, that's a big deal. And I must say I really like that. And I do want to mention that I don't go about promoting every single health or natural product or unnatural, whatever else you want to call it, product, therapy, whatever comes my way. It's usually something that we want to make sure that we have tested it out and tried it before I recommend anything to you guys. But I do encourage you. We have seen benefits from using it, and we encourage you to check it out. You can check out the link in the show notes below for the Spooky2 Rife machine. You never know. This could be the one tool that somebody out there is looking for to get rid of or overcome some of the things that you're dealing with your health. Check it out.